Hello and welcome. It is that of the 7th of June, 2018, the Thursday. It is Crypto Day morning. I'd like to welcome you to the Money Charts channel. Like always, everything is within your own risk and own reward for all investment choices you may happen to make. All right then, so within the daily term time frame, just on the recent situation, it is spending an okay amount of time just consolidating within this 18 average. It has still yet to make a move to break the 18 of highs. It is having its second test of such, with the first one coming in here. Of course, price action would then follow with a test of the 18 lows, and now having another test for that of attempting to break such a deal. Of course, the price action amongst these lines has went sideways because it's been able to hold within this level, thus not do what bear markets do, at least not as of yet. And that is, you make a leg lower, you come to this correctionary phase, you break the 18, and then you make another leg lower, rinse, repeat until the cycle is over. And yeah, so it hasn't had any type of movement below here, but it's got to have a decent sized move above the 18 highs in the attempt for the reversal of trend. And we will look back at all the previous highs it's got to get above. We're going to first be talking about this one at around the into the 8,000s, and then you got the high at around 10,000 that it's going to be needing to get above. It'll be in very, very good situation once it gets above the 12,000 highs, because breaking the 12,000, all you got left is the upper end congestion area, which would be 12,700 up to 20,000. And of course, there's another level up around here. But those are the key levels it has to get above. Of course, the 6,000 area has been tested once with a higher low, but barely. Most recently, this was a higher low again, barely amongst the situation. It seems for me, it's like, I feel as if, well, if you're going to come down to 3,000, can we just get it over with? Sort of like you're about to go to the dentist or you're going to have surgery. Let's just get it done. But you know what? The market's going to do what the market's not going to do. You're not big enough to control the market, and to think that one is smarter than the market, well, then you have another thing coming if you think that. However, if you are smart enough to be able to participate in the market and do very well long term, there's a lot of people that can do it, because I consider trading thus a advantage player game for those, of course, that are good enough to do so. And advantage games are that, like sports gambling and poker, where over the long term time frame, a player can actually have a long term edge. So then, this is how we look at the single hour time frame. So after all of these higher lows in here, it managed to get up to this resistance peak. There's a downtrend, and all of these fast moves have been occurring. You got this green move, and even the red ones too. But it's just happening over and over and over again. Whenever it's ready to go, it just has these decent sized moves towards the upside. You don't have as many that just work its way up in a gradual form. It just has to just have big moves like such. Here's another situation of finding resistance become that of support. The top was basically found at about 8-9 p.m. yesterday, so it's less than 9 a.m. now. It's been a half a day consolidating within such, and it's a long correction. It's not guaranteed that it's going to break it towards the upside, but you have a clear established range, which the resistance is from 77.44 up to 77.87. So that's another leg of resistance it could manage to retest previous high at. But then getting above that, then we're talking about filling this empty space in here. As far as any break of this support, you're going to be talking about filling this empty space. And the possible failed breakout fast move lower. The last time something like that happened was this failed breakdown in here. And when we're in a lot of this indecisive neutral market maneuver or situation that I'm talking about, expect a lot of up and down choppy action like we are seeing to continue on forward until a resolution to the situation is made. Let's take a quick look at some alts, but really mainly just taking a look at chart action overall. SRN, Siren, or however you want to pronounce such. Notice today's move. Overall, it's been declining in this 18. It's now having a band starting to flatten out. And do I count this as a breakout, established resistance, and coming back to the band? Or is this just cryptos doing what cryptos like to do? 400-minute time frame, I can see it even further. It's happening in this particular period. 3-hour time frame, well, it happened a few periods beforehand. Let's keep on looking at this. 1-hour time frame. 15-minute. Okay, it's had its move instantly and has given it all back. It's still above where it came from. At least that's a bonus because I'm going to be leading into another one that hasn't. 5-minute time frame. So this move happened in less than 5 minutes, but is this going to be like a one-shot move? It looks like maybe it might be 1 or 2 periods, I think. In 2 minutes, price action goes from 39.74 up to about 6,000. That's about a 50% move, only to give the vast majority of it back relatively quickly. However, when Nexus did theirs, they've given back more of it. This was a market that had this beautiful pattern, and the beautiful pattern gave itself a leg higher. It's over. Now, what's up? What's next now? Well, what's next was it came back corrected to the 18, but was unable to make a new high, and then it had this move making a leg higher, I guess, if you were able to get the sale, and now we're back to this level. 18 average is looking to possibly start to flatten out, and definite cautionary signs that this thing could start to roll over. Okay. Well, this move, how do we explain it? Let's take a look at this on a 3-hour time frame. Okay, so there is what happens. It goes up in one shot, decent red down, small green up, and then 3 continuous red down, making it to lows not seen since the lower end in here. Coming back to where it came from would have been coming around the 36 handle, but it didn't support anywhere near that level. At least I'm not seeing it in such. 1-hour time frame, has the move higher, and then it just has a big move. As far as where it came from 34. It rallied up to 44. So its move wasn't nowhere near 50%, but it was still close to 30%. And of course, a much bigger decline. 15-minute time frame. See, it's happening all in one session. And let's just give you the spoiler. It's 1-minute move. So I'm just going to scroll back to the event. This happened in one period. Was this just one big buyer? Is this some sort of plan kind of event given how it has just crashed down as much as it has since then? Well, that's the nature of the crypto game. A lot of these up moves, these buys could be so fast. Okay, enough of those kinds of moves, although these coins can do it any time. But when's the last time OK Cash had a very good up move like that? It had an OK one, I guess, on April the 8th. We can see that before it had one here on March the 2nd. That one went to highs not seen at that point in over a month. And then it ended up breaking lows not seen in quite some time. But within these lines that I got in here, and I stated this before that I thought that 757 seemed very likely. Back when the price action was well over 2,000, because I'm seeing an area which was supported in October of last year for a couple of decent rallies and a couple decent support tests in here. And then it comes back again in December, and then another decent rally. Comes back again in February, but it doesn't really rally from there, and the only rally it has was a half-assed rally. And then it broke that level convincingly to the near the middle of the two lines and around 1300. Then the last move came close to this level of resistance, and it did come back to where it came from, thus fighting resistance at previous support. It did the opposite of what you expect it to do with key areas, and it pierced lower to where you would expected this rally to go to, where you would have normally expected it to come up to 28.21 ish. I'm just saying 28.21 because that's the number shown on the right hand side. And then it's of course been going back down. It's now towards this little area in here, and you never know if it's going to be the place you bought them, but probability odds state that that 757 target is going to come into place. That would be a loss now of about half of its value. It could continuously grind its way lower. We could have bear market rallies that might get it up to close to 2,000. And then have a bearish setup like so many times before. Of course, the market's going to do what it's going to do. But there are hundreds and even, if not thousands, or over 1,000 of these alternate coins. And what are the case uses of such, and how many of them are just trying to compete with each other to do the exact same thing? As a former sports card collector as a child, or an old kid, we'll say, back in the late 80s, early 1990s, I was, before seeing how there would be only one company in Canada that would make hockey cards, and one in the United States that would make hockey, then a couple more would come in, a few companies making baseball cards, and then all of a sudden when the boom was coming in the early 90s, there were so many different companies coming in. There were so many different types of inserts, types of promotions that they would do, that it pretty much destroyed the business, at least of modern cards it has. I kind of wonder why there's well over 1,000 of these things available. Is this a situation where it's all going to work out? At least for trading, it's going to be so for another year or so? Maybe. But that does seem as if there's way too many. There's obviously going to be so many that are going to be trying to scam. Now, with some of them, you can say, well, what's the case with stuff like Steam? Well, it's almost in a sense like a stock. They got this website, Steam It, and all this kind of stuff. They got the Steam dollars. So I guess you can make a sense for why one like this is in place. But as far as its technical analysis is concerned, there's a look at this move again that I've talked about before. It has fallen back to where it came from, resisting the 18. And is it leaving it? It's coming very close. But if it does such and you fill this empty space, you could expect decent sized red moves and maybe even a test down towards this previous level of support. And maybe it's going to make a higher low to here. But definitely spots like this where we're seeing bearish setups, and of course this one is Steam slashed against Bitcoin. Here's PivX. This is a case of, it looks like it's leaving its 18 average as well, and all of these different lines you see, like on here, May the 11th, it comes down to key fib at this 50 handle. A couple days later, it rallies up to 70, and it's been in a big time downtrend. It's gap fill here. This thing could go down to the 37 number, not the largest of declines, but definitely one that's in place. And overall, this is a market that got out of hand with its gain as it went from 2,200 or around 2,000 Satoshi, we'll say, and it was priced even at 1,000. Going from 1,000 to 160,000. That's a pretty large increase that it had. So the situations where you could have thought at the time that 7,400 was up way too much because you bought at 1,000 or 1,500 and you had big gains. And you know what? If you sold here, so be it. You got your gains. It's better than having a loss because it went to the downside, or thinking of this as a loss because you, what I call short sold. But since this move higher, it has had a major amount of choppy movements. that if you're looking at the buy low, sell high strategies that I talk about when this thing has been down, to just get your buys in, and when it goes up, you sell. Because when this thing came down in May of last year, this thing came down to 30,000 Satoshi, rallied up to over 100, back down to 37, back up to over 80, back down to 25, back up to over 100, and just now it has been sort of indecisive in the trend of choppiness. Because as I've been stating, it just goes from around the 30 or below to well over 80. That's been the trend. Very good action to trade on the choppy level. But this low here at 38 is what's above the line. Support has kind of been at and below, and it's a significant higher low from the last one. And this rally that it last had, well, it was a half-assed rally to say the least, not that good. So we're seeing a lot of the choppy action, or not choppy, but indecisive action within it. But to me, it's a pretty good code just to buy low, sell high with. There's been a lot of great volatility within it. Vert coin, pretty much the same way here. We look at this at the weekly chart. It's had long standing support at 2,500, standing in right now at 45,000 or 40,000. But big move in 2015, 29.26 up to 246,000. Back down to that level, then we can see just the big up and down moves. But what are we seeing right now with Vert? Established support has been broken today, and it's breaking, of course, down below this 18, looking to fill some of this gap. And well, be chances for me to be buying low with Vertcoin if that event actually happens. Thank you for tuning in to today's video, and have yourself a great day. Bye bye.